Thank you. Yeah, Dugarjab Dugarjab Barum Nonglin Iligin Nartisuan and Terra at Lanjo Tin Baro had tin was nails or last Monghal Guna Nes Salarin Salaras. They had American Wages University in Denver, Colorado, and Turin was stable in Hamartin Mastery. Dugarjab is born in Western Mongolia's Ili region, as Sanjay just mentioned part of his life, and he obtained his BA in Mongolian literature and philosophy from Northwestern University in Lanzhou, China. And he has a master's degree in non-profit management from Rutgers University in Denver, Colorado. And he is an independent researcher and writer. Dugarjab has written and translated a number of books and essays and so on. So please welcome Dugarjab.
Can everyone hear me? So, as Mr. Cholo mentioned, my name is Dugarjab Hotala. Good morning, everyone. And I was born and raised in the so-called Xinjiang, which included the main part of what was historically known as Mongolia, and depending on the spelling and depending on who's using the term, sometimes it may be Jungaria. It is the ancestral homeland of Western Mongolian tribal groups known as Buryats and Buryats. And among Buryats, the part of Buryats that I belong to are Buryat, and my community back home in Ili is consisted of the survivors of the Manchu massacre of Western Mongols some 200 years back. In other words, and I'm proud to say that I'm a descendant of the great Kalmyk Khan. About the middle of December of last year, a handwritten note that we saw, Mr. Sanj Alton mentioned about the post on the online media. Particularly, it was first appeared, I believe, on WeChat, on one of the WeChat groups. The handwritten note, it was shared by people online, and it came to my attention, and it read, "Today, Mongolian language instruction in all the schools across Bayangol prefecture is put to an end. We are demanding a just solution from the State Ethnic Affairs Commission and the 8 provinces and autonomous regions Mongolian Language Work Association." And at first, it didn't seem to me to be any news, and nor it seemed to me a big deal, because it was no news to me. Because at least 20 years back, the part of Ili that I'm from, particularly in Turkistan, the first Mongolian school was closed down, and not closed down, it was merged with Chinese school, and from that onwards, all Mongolian kids had to learn Chinese, and all courses were taught in Chinese, And there was one course that was called Mongolian. And it was as if they were learning a foreign language from that time onwards. So that was not news to me. But then things go strange in these days of online media and social media. Somehow it became a hit, and then on WeChat groups, and there is also a smartphone app called Bayangol, which you can use to write and exchange information in traditional Mongolian. And people shared this post, and then people wrote more posts and posted more information. And that's how the Bayangol incident came into many people's attention. So, but indeed it is a big deal, because Bayangol is one of the 3 Mongolian national autonomous areas under the so-called Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. And Bayangol is an autonomous prefecture, Mongolian autonomous prefecture, and the 2 other are Bortal Mongol Autonomous Prefecture and Hazara Mongol Autonomous County. So 2 prefectures, 1 county, all consisted of Mongolian. And by the way, in Xinjiang, no areas that was populated, inhabited by the Uyghur Mongols were ever given autonomous states, not autonomous county, Mongolian autonomous county, or let alone autonomous prefecture. And I suspect personally that it may be because of the past memory, of the Chinese collective memory, that the Uyghurs were the ones who resisted against the Manchu annexation, the fiercest, the most strong. And that may be the reason. So, anyway, according to statistics, by the end of the year 2003, in Bayangol Prefecture, where the total population of Mongols is about 50,000. I don't know if this number is in conflict with Sanjak's findings. And with the Mongolian population of 50,000, there were 20 Mongolian languages. This is the number from the end of 2003, and which included 1 senior high school and 5 junior high schools, and the rest are elementary schools. And I believe majority were in rural, remote areas. And while the total number of all elementary and high schools in the whole prefecture was about 175, that's around 2003. So, according to research on the dual language education, that's the Chinese government program, and that about which we are having a problem here, and that's the reason for our conference. And so, someone called J. Ochirvat from the Academy of Social Sciences in Urumqi did some research on the situation surrounding the dual language education in Bayangol, and some of his findings were that the dual language education actually started being implemented in Bayangol alone back in 1989. And at the time, that is at the time of the research around 2013 or so, language education situation in Mongolian schools in Bayangol were basically in 3 types of situations. The first situation is, he says that in remote areas where the conditions are not yet ripe for Chinese language teaching, that is rural areas, nomadic people, they don't speak Chinese, they did not have people who can teach Chinese language to Mongolian children. So there's still the old way. All courses are taught in Mongolian, but there is one course called Chinese, which is elective. And back in time, when I was little, when we were going to school, that was a very different situation. But similar to this one, we had all courses being taught in Mongolian, but then we had one course, Chinese. But it was in name only because nobody learned Chinese, and the teachers only, let us pass somewhat. Nobody learned. Nobody could learn because back in those days, the Chinese language had no use. But nowadays it's completely opposite. And the second situation he mentioned was in some schools, Chinese is a major course, while all subjects are taught in Mongolian. So in this situation, the majority is still Mongolian, but Chinese is more important course than the other situation. Chinese is must learn, and there is more importance given to the Chinese language learning. And this type of schools included the number 3 high school, and number 3 high school is the very school that the December 17 post mentioned. That's where the last Mongolian class was taking place. So this research is somewhat old. It's from 2013. So by the end of 2017, the first type of situation basically were some thing of the past. And the third situation, he says, is summer schools. This is actually the best by the standard of the Chinese state, best kind of situation where all subjects are taught in Chinese, but there is one course that is Mongolian. That is like back in days, in the exact same situation, back in days we were learning Chinese. Nowadays there is a course called Mongolian, and no kid is really interested. So this kind of situation. And there are numerous new rules locally from the autonomous region level and the prefecture level, and under some prefectures there are what's called districts. For example, the Kazakh autonomous prefecture has 3 districts underneath. So all levels of the government come up with new rules and regulations concerning the so-called dual language education. And some of the provisions, some of the regulations are more ridiculous than others. For example, and this situation is not only in Mongolian areas, not only it is happening to Mongolians alone, it's happening to Uyghurs, it's happening to Kazakhs, it's happening to Tibetans. For example, in Hotan district, which is a Uyghur majority district in Xinjiang, local education, the county level education authorities came up with new regulations banning teachers from growing beard. That is Islamic. And Islamic equals, in the state language, to terrorism. And banning teachers from growing beards, and also rules, also banning the training of Chinese teachers in Uyghur language. You cannot teach Chinese teachers Uyghur language. But the other way around is encouraged. It's the correct way. But the Chinese teachers should not be taught. You don't try to educate Chinese teachers to learn Uyghur language, which is banned. And also Uyghur language is banned from being spoken in public gatherings. That's illegal. And there are more ridiculous things that something from my own life, actually my brother, he works in the county level Chinese government office. And all these government officers, people who are being directly paid by the state, the Chinese state is, especially in Xinjiang, they are practicing a new policy called 民族团结一家亲, meaning the ethnic groups unite as close as to a family. So how they do it is, if you are a state worker, the state will assign you another family from different ethnic group, and you will become relative to them, just like blood relation. And my brother, being a Mongol, he was assigned the Kazakh family. And there is specific regulations, specific requirements that you have to visit the family. And the family have to visit you back. How many times a month? There is a specific number, at least 3 times a month or 3 times each season or something like that. I don't know these specific numbers, but my brother he has visited the Kazakh family several times. He told me that he said that I was lucky that I was given a nice family, my Kazakh brother. Well, which is not, between humans and humans, it's not a bad thing, but when it's, enforced by the state. So, how ridiculous is that? So, so the Bayangol incident, the local authorities explained that it was according to a certain directive sent to each level governments by the Education Department of Xinjiang Autonomous Region, and the document is called Xinjiao-Ji 2017 number 12, meaning that the Xinjiang Education Department document number 12 of 2017, and which is entitled, actually, I have the document here, entitled the suggestions to strengthen and improve the dual language education. And it specifies how many hours should each class be and in what language. And basically going forward from that time onward, all non-Chinese children be taught their own mother tongue only in 5 hours a week, while the Chinese are between 8 and 7. And of course, all the other courses, such as like sports and recreation and history, geography, and mathematics, physics, chemistry, everything, biology, all taught in Chinese. Only the Mongolian or Kazakh languages, the minority languages, are taught in those numbers. And yet still their numbers are fewer than the Chinese language, the numbers of hours the Chinese language occupy. So since being under the communist Chinese rule, we have always been subjected to state-sanctioned discrimination based on our ethnic, cultural, and linguistic uniqueness. And while this is the Chinese policy, but this policy that is practiced now in not only Xinjiang, not only the Inner Mongolia, the Autonomous Region, and Tibet, these policies are against the Chinese law. They have specific law concerning the national, regional autonomy, and Article 10 of the National regional autonomy clearly states that all non-Chinese, of course the Chinese state wouldn't use the term non-Chinese, all ethnic minority groups, they have the right to use their own language, and the same law in its article number 21, 37, and 38, it all states that the minority ethnic groups have the right to publication, to teach their language, and using their own language in media. So the Article 10 goes, the organs of self-government of national autonomous areas shall guarantee the freedom of the nationalities in these areas to use and develop their own spoken and written languages, and their freedom to preserve or reform their own folk ways and customs. So, due to time, it seems that I cannot finish what I have written here. Basically, what's happening in Bayangol is not an incidental or isolated case. It is only part of a greater, organized, planned, and gradual process of assimilating all non-Chinese people into the Chinese nation, the so-called Zhonghua Minzu, or the Chinese nation, and in that framework, the individual ethnic groups, individual nationalities would become only a component of this large frame of the so-called Chinese nation. And this is only part of it, and this is only the implementation of that greater plan. So due to time, I can only say this much. Thank you very much for your attention.